Have you ever wondered, what if the most famous birth in human history didn't happen the way you've always imagined it? No shining palace, no royal celebration, no comfort, just a cold night, a quiet town, and a child who would change the world forever. More than 2,000 years ago, in a small village called Nazareth, lived a young woman named Mary. She wasn't rich, she wasn't powerful, she was just an ordinary girl engaged to a humble carpenter named Joseph. Life was simple, until one moment changed everything. One evening, Mary experienced something she couldn't explain, a divine message. She was told that she would give birth to a son, not just any son, but someone destined for greatness, someone whose life would impact generations. Imagine hearing that as a teenager. Fear, confusion, questions. How is this possible? She must have thought. But despite the uncertainty, Mary chose trust over fear. At the same time, Joseph faced his own struggle. When he found out Mary was expecting a child, he didn't understand. In those times, this situation could ruin reputations and lives. But Joseph, being kind and thoughtful, decided not to harm her. Then something unexpected happened. Joseph too received guidance, telling him that this child was special and he should not be afraid. That message changed his decision and his life forever. Soon after, a new challenge appeared. The ruling authority at the time ordered a census. Everyone had to travel back to their ancestral hometown to be counted. For Joseph, that meant a long journey from Nazareth to Bethlehem. It wasn't a short trip. Mary was pregnant. The journey was exhausting. Rough roads, cold nights, and uncertainty surrounded them. Yet they kept going, because sometimes the most important moments in life come through the hardest paths. When they finally reached Bethlehem, things didn't get easier. Filled every space. Inns were full. Doors were closed. Imagine being in that situation, tired, worried, and with nowhere to go. Finally, they found a place. Not a house, not a hotel, but a simple shelter for animals. It was there, in that quiet and humble setting, that history changed. That night, Mary gave birth to a child, Jesus Christ. No grand audience, no royal welcome, just a mother, a father, and a newborn wrapped in cloth, placed in a feeding manger. It doesn't sound like the birth of someone who would impact billions of lives, does it? And yet, that's exactly what happened. But the story doesn't end there. Not far from Bethlehem, shepherds were watching over their flocks. These were ordinary workers, people who lived simple, unnoticed lives. Suddenly, something extraordinary happened. They saw a bright light, a message of joy. They were told about the birth of a special child. Why shepherds? Why not kings or leaders? Because this moment wasn't about status, about reaching everyone, no matter how small or overlooked they felt. The shepherds rushed to Bethlehem and found the child, just as they were told. Meanwhile, far away, powerful rulers had their own reactions. One of them was Herod the Great, a king known for his fear of losing power. When he heard about the birth of a new king, he didn't celebrate. He felt threatened, because power often fears change. So what really happened that night? Was it just the birth of a child? Or was it the beginning of something much bigger? A message that greatness doesn't need luxury, that impact doesn't require a perfect start, that even in the most ordinary and difficult situations, something extraordinary can begin. Think about it. No wealth, no fame, no comfort, and yet the story of that child is still being told today. Why? Because it wasn't just about how he was born. It was about what he represented. Hope and uncertainty, light and darkness. The birth of Jesus wasn't a fairy tale filled with perfection. It was real. It was raw. It was unexpected. And maybe that's why it matters so much, because it shows that your beginning doesn't decide your ending. So next time you hear about that night in Bethlehem, don't just imagine a peaceful scene with stars and silence. Remember the journey, the struggle, the fear, and the faith. Because sometimes the most powerful stories don't start with greatness. They start with nothing and become everything.